Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Samar from the Niqabi Diaries, and today we're going to be talking to a sister who has studied, or is currently studying actually, at the Islamic Online University, actually now known as the International Online University. So sister, if you could please introduce yourself for the listeners and tell us a little bit about your Islamic background, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Munera Adam, and I'm from Ghana. So I'm actually currently a student at IOU. I'm studying psychology. I'm in my third year, alhamdulillah. Over the years, I have always had an interest in studying psychology, but I wanted to do it with an Islamic framework. And IOU was introduced to me by a friend. We'll talk more about it, I believe, as the podcast progresses. But it was introduced to me by a friend, and I found the framework that they were using for their studies and their teaching very, very interesting. And so I decided to take up the course with IOU. But I've also done some other studying at other institutions, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah, sister. So you said that you was interested in psychology. What made you choose the IU specifically as a place that you could do your studies?
Okay, so I mentioned that it was introduced to me by a friend, and I had known her for a couple of years, and I spoke to her about my interest in studying psychology, and she introduced the university to me, and I just read the requirements of the program and what the program involves, and I realized that I have the option to do some studies that have an Islamic background. For example, throughout my studies, I've had the opportunity to study Aqidah, I've had the opportunity to improve my tajweed, to do some Arabic. Even though I'm studying psychology, it gave me the opportunity to study aspects of the deen, and I found that integration is very, very important and very necessary in psychology. So I just really like the approach that the university uses. I found out that I did some research on the lecturers, the tutors, the moderators of the courses that I was interested in. And there's one particular tutor that I really love. She's written so many books on Islamic psychology, and I was looking forward to being in her class. And so, yeah, it's been a very educational and amazing journey, and I'm really glad I took up that decision.
So mashallah, your friend who introduced you to the IU, was she also a student at the IOU as well?
No, she wasn't. She had just heard about it, and she thought it would be a good institution for me to study at, but she hadn't studied there herself, no.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So what kind of steps would you advise sisters to take? Sisters who want to get involved in doing any kind of study within an Islamic framework?
Okay, I think the first thing, or where we should all start from with anything that we want to do with regards to Islam, is to set our intentions right. It's important to have a good intention with everything that we are doing, because we know the hadith in that our actions are going to be judged based on intention. So it's important to have a clear and good intention of why we want to study, what exactly we want to study. So once the intention is taken care of, it's important to look for, I believe, like very preliminary things that you should look out for is to find a trusted teacher or institution, because we have so many avenues these days, so many online institutions, so many people that appear to be teachers, and I feel like should I say, the way knowledge has become common these days can be a double-edged sword. Yes. Because there are so many avenues to study, but then there's also so much knowledge out there that is not beneficial or that is not authentic. So it's very, very important to make sure that you're studying from a trusted institution or a trusted teacher. Another thing that I would like to add is that you don't have to travel, or you don't have to I know a lot of us are concerned about where we are. I speak to sisters sometimes. I talk about the fact that they want to study, but they're in the West and they want to travel to Egypt. And it's amazing to have that intention to want to travel for the purpose of seeking knowledge. But you don't have to. Even at your local madrasa, you can find a trusted teacher or trusted institution online. I've done majority of my Islamic studies online, and alhamdulillah, it's been really, really beneficial, and it's been an amazing journey so far. So there are trusted institutions like IOU that you can study at. They have other programs that are very geared towards the Islamic science. I know they have a BA in Islamic studies, in Arabic. So there are very specific Islamic science that you can take at IOU or any other institution, online or locally at your madrasa. So once you have your intention right, the next step is to find a trusted institution, and then from there you put your trust in Allah, you put in the hard work, and inshallah, the journey will be fine. Inshallah, yeah.
Inshallah, mashallah. So what are your personal study hacks, sister? What methods do you use to make enough time for your day-to-day studies and schedule enough time to actually get the work done?
Okay, so this is the really challenging part. I'm juggling a couple of things. I am a full-time student. I'm working part-time as well, and I'm studying with IOU too. So it's a lot that I'm juggling. So obviously, time management is a big factor for me. I schedule my day from the moment I wake up, from Fajr till like I go to bed. I try to account for every minute and every second of my day, really, because I believe the time that Allah has given us is a ni'mah, it's a blessing, and we're supposed to make the best out of the time that Allah has given us in the day. So I really do plan my day, every part of my day, and I try to stick to that schedule. Aside great time management, which sometimes I falter on, if I don't understand something that is taught in class, so during my psychology lessons, if something is said that I don't understand, I make a note of it and I reach out to the lecturer or the tutor as soon as possible. So IU specifically has, I think I mentioned this earlier, they have amazing tutors that are ready to get back to you with any concerns that you have, address all your queries. They are really, really amazing, subhanAllah. So anytime I have an issue with something that I said in class, I don't really understand, I reach out to the tutor as soon as possible. My general approach for studying is that for anybody that has taken a course in IOU or studied with IOU, you realize that there are some pre-recorded lessons you have to listen to, and then you have readings to do for every class. So I like to do my reading before listening to the lecture. So I do the reading, I note down points that I'm not understanding, that are not very clear, and then I listen to the lecture. And usually what the lecture does is that it clarifies most of the questions that I had while I was reading the assigned reading for that particular unit. And so once I'm done listening to the lecture, if I still have any concerns or queries, I reach out to the tutor, and then usually they clarify that for me as soon as possible. So time management, putting in the effort, and yeah, you'll be good to go, inshallah.
Inshallah, sister, mashallah. Very beneficial advice, and inshallah, the sisters listening, they will benefit from those tips that you have given, inshallah. Do you have any further advice for sisters regarding seeking knowledge?
Okay, yeah. So I think one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that taking knowledge is a very virtuous deed. It's an ibadah, and there's so many virtues associated with seeking knowledge, right? The Holy Prophet ﷺ has said that whoever takes a path upon which to obtain knowledge, Allah will make his path to paradise easy for him. And it's important to constantly remind yourself, because whatever journey that you take in seeking ilm, whether it's Islamic knowledge or you're taking a degree in a worldly science or whatever it is, it can get very, very hard. It can get very difficult. But then you have to remind yourself of the virtues of seeking knowledge in this world, in the dunya, and in the akhirah. And I also want to say that the approach and the structure for seeking the knowledge is very, very important. There's a book that I've been reading currently about the prophetic module of education and tarbiyat. It's by Dr. Dawish, Muhammad Dawish, and he talks about the fact that the Holy Prophet ﷺ, in setting out the prophetic module for education, he emphasized the need to have a solid foundation in Iman before anything else. It's very important in dealing with how we structure our learning. Sometimes we take up books, like the foundation might not be very solid, and then we try to study books that are meant to build upon knowledge that we might not necessarily have. So it's important for us to solidify our foundation. Take a course take an Aqidah course, understand what the faith is about. It's never, and even if we feel like we know, it's important to go back to the basics and to study the basics and to make sure that we have that firm foundation in our deen before we build upon it with any other knowledge. So, so to summarize that, understand the virtue of seeking knowledge, and then make sure that you have a very good structure when it comes to seeking your knowledge. Start with the basics of the deen and then gradually build up upon that. And may Allah make it easy for us in our quest.
Ameen, ameen. Jazakallah khair, sister. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your experience at the IU with us. May Allah strengthen you and give you patience in your studies and make you successful in them. Ameen.
Ameen. Ameen. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair.